China built a dam that generates more power than every single dam in the United States combined. We're talking about 22,500 megawatts of raw electricity pouring out of one structure. The Three Gorges Dam isn't just the world's largest hydroelectric power station, it's the most powerful machine humanity has ever built, and they did it in just 17 years on a river everyone said was untamable. But to understand how they pulled this off, you need to see what they were actually trying to build. You're standing in front of a concrete wall, 600 feet tall and nearly a mile and a half long. It doesn't look like a dam, it looks like a mountain someone carved and shaped into existence. Inside this colossal structure, 32 turbines spin continuously, each one generating 700 megawatts of power. To put that into perspective, a single turbine inside the Three Gorges Dam produces as much electricity as an entire conventional power plant. One turbine alone could power a city of millions. Now multiply that by 32. The reservoir behind this wall stretches 400 miles upstream, longer than the entire width of California. This isn't just a lake. It's an inland sea holding more than 10 trillion gallons of water. The pressure pushing against the dam's face is so immense that the concrete at the base remains under thousands of pounds per square inch of compression. The structure weighs 65 million tons, built using 28 million cubic yards of concrete, enough to construct 300 Empire State Buildings. To anchor the foundation, engineers had to drill 450 feet below the riverbed into solid granite, blasting through rock to ensure the dam wouldn't shift even a fraction of an inch. And here's the part that defies comprehension. This dam produces 100 terawatt-hours of electricity every year. That's enough to power 200 million people, continuously. When all 32 turbines operate at full capacity, the output equals that of 45 coal-fired power plants generated entirely from falling water. The project cost $37 billion, employed 40,000 workers, and took 17 years to complete. But the truth is, none of this was ever supposed to be possible. The Yangtze River flows at 15,000 cubic meters per second. That's 4 million gallons of water blasting through every single second. And China's engineers needed to build the world's largest dam right in the middle of it. You can't just stop a river. So they came up with something insane: cofferdams. They would split the Yangtze into sections, redirect the flow, and build the main structure in the dry riverbed. Except the cofferdams themselves had to be massive enough to hold back one of the most powerful rivers on Earth. In 1997, they pulled it off. They blasted diversion channels through solid rock on both sides of the river, massive tunnels wide enough to swallow the entire flow. Then they sealed off the main channel with the cofferdams and let the Yangtze rip through the mountain instead. They moved 134 million cubic yards of earth and rock, 4 times the volume of the Great Pyramid of Giza. They carved it out of mountains, dumped it into the river, and forced the Yangtze to flow exactly where they wanted it to go. The construction site became a dry canyon with a raging river screaming through tunnels on either side. Then came the concrete problem. When concrete cures, it generates massive amounts of heat. And if it cures too quickly, it cracks and the entire structure fails. Normally, concrete on this scale would take 100 years to properly cure. They had just 17 years to finish the entire project, so they embedded 1,400 miles of cooling pipes inside the concrete itself. Cold water flowed through the pipes, controlling the temperature as millions of tons of concrete slowly hardened. They poured the dam in 2,500 individual blocks, each one monitored and cooled separately. Temperature sensors tracked every degree, and if a block got too hot, the entire schedule shifted. They were literally cooling the dam from the inside out while building it. And they did it while pouring 28 million cubic yards of concrete, enough to bury Manhattan under 20 feet of solid stone. But the real engineering nightmare was the turbines themselves. Nothing like these turbines had ever been built before. Each one weighs 6,000 tons. They're Francis turbines engineered specifically to handle the enormous pressure of the Yangtze River dropping 370 feet through the dam. When water hits those blades, it carries the force of millions of horsepower. The turbines spin at 75 rotations per minute, which doesn't sound fast until you remember each blade is the size of a bus. The kinetic energy of that falling water is converted into electricity at 98% efficiency, almost no energy lost. It's one of the most efficient power-generating systems ever created. And they needed a space large enough to house 32 of these machines. The generator hall inside the Three Gorges Dam stretches nearly a mile long. Stand inside that room and you face a line of turbines extending farther than the eye can see, each spinning, each generating 700 megawatts. The sound alone is overwhelming. These turbines run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They never stop. The Yangtze keeps flowing, the turbines keep spinning, and the electricity keeps pouring out. 22,500 megawatts every single hour. But here's where things get truly unbelievable, what that power actually means for China. The Three Gorges Dam provides 11% of China's entire electricity grid. One structure, one river. 11% of the world's second-largest economy. Cities like Shanghai, Wuhan, and Chongqing megacities, with populations larger than entire nations, are powered by water falling through turbines 1,000 miles away. Every year, the dam replaces 50 million tons of coal that would have been burned in power plants. That's 50 million tons of coal that never gets mined, transported, or turned into smoke that would have choked the skies over Chinese cities. The electricity is clean, constant, and practically limitless. But power generation was only part of the transformation. The dam turned the Yangtze into a navigable highway. Before Three Gorges, the river was too wild and too dangerous for large ships to travel upstream. Now, 10,000-ton ocean freighters can sail 1,500 miles inland. They travel through massive 5-stage ship locks, giant concrete staircases that lift entire cargo vessels up and over the dam. The economic impact was immediate. Factories deep inland suddenly gained access to global shipping routes. Cities that were isolated for centuries became major trade hubs almost overnight. China didn't just build a power station, they rebuilt an entire region's economy around a single piece of infrastructure. And the world took notice. In 2012, the final turbine came online. 22,500 megawatts. Fully operational. China had accomplished something no other nation had even dared to attempt. They took the third-largest river on Earth, redirected it, controlled it, and turned it into the most powerful energy generator ever built. The United States has more than 2,000 dams, Hoover, Grand Coulee, and every hydroelectric plant from coast to coast. Add up their total output, and it still doesn't come close to what the Three Gorges Dam produces right now. One dam more powerful than an entire nation's hydroelectric infrastructure combined.